and welcome to the Retirement Wealth Podcast. We're so glad you could join us today.
Absolutely. It's great to be here. Today, we're diving into a topic that's really close to the heart for many of us: how to build a legacy for your family.
Yeah, it's such an important part of retirement planning, isn't it? We often think about our own needs, but leaving a meaningful legacy can provide such peace of mind.
Right. And it's not just about money. It's about values, memories, and ensuring that what's important to you lives on.
Exactly. We'll chat about some practical strategies to consider, like estate planning and how to effectively pass on your assets.
We'll also touch on the emotional aspects of legacy building. The stories and traditions that can enrich your family's future.
And let's not forget about the importance of communication. Making sure your loved ones understand your wishes can really make a difference.
For sure, Emily. It's all about creating a roadmap that not only benefits them financially, but also keeps those connections strong.
So whether you're in the thick of retirement planning or already enjoying retirement, there's something here for you.
Let's jump right in and explore how to start crafting that legacy. Emily, when we think about building a legacy for our families, it really hits home for people right now. With everything happening in the economy, it's more than just numbers on a page, right?
Absolutely, David. With inflation being a significant concern lately, it can feel daunting. People are realizing that the dollar doesn't stretch as far as it used to, and that can impact their retirement savings and the legacy they leave behind.
Right, and I've seen many clients really grappling with this. Just the other day, I spoke with a couple in their late 60s. They had planned to travel and spend time with their grandchildren, but with rising costs, they're now reconsidering their plans. It's heartbreaking because they had envisioned this joyful retirement, and now they feel anxious about funds lasting.
That's such a relatable situation. So many people are facing that uncertainty. And when we add in market volatility, it really creates a perfect storm, doesn't it?
Exactly. The stock market has had its ups and downs, and for those nearing retirement or already retired, seeing their portfolios fluctuate can be nerve-wracking. It's not just about the money. It's about peace of mind, too.
Yes! I think that's a critical point. The emotional side of financial security is often underestimated. Many people don't realize how much anxiety can stem from financial uncertainty. I've heard stories of retirees losing sleep over market dips or worrying about healthcare costs that could arise.
Oh, healthcare costs are a huge factor, and they're only expected to rise. Just last week, I met with a widow who had been caring for her husband through a long illness. She was left managing everything on her own and was terrified of the potential costs involved in her own care down the line.
That's so tough. It brings up the importance of planning for those unexpected expenses. And, speaking of planning, Social Security changes are also on a lot of people's minds. They're trying to figure out how to navigate those benefits effectively, especially with the recent adjustments.
Right. Many folks don't fully understand how the changes could affect their benefits. For instance, if someone delays claiming their benefits, they might receive a larger payout, which can significantly impact their overall financial picture in retirement.
Absolutely. And then you have the tax implications to consider too. It can get complicated, especially if people want to leave an inheritance. I've talked to many retirees who didn't realize how much taxes could eat into their legacy if they don't plan properly.
That's a great point, Emily. I had a client who was shocked to learn how much of their IRA would be taxed upon withdrawal. They had always believed they were set, but it turned out they were leaving a lot on the table due to tax inefficiencies.
Wow, that's a real eye-opener. And I think that's why it's so important for people to take a proactive approach to their retirement planning. It's not just about accumulating wealth. It's about making sure it lasts and benefits their loved ones.
Exactly. And with the current economic trends, it's essential for people to reassess their strategies regularly. The landscape changes, and what worked 10 years ago might not work today.
So true. It's like you wouldn't drive across the country without checking the map, right? You need to know where the roadblocks are.
Exactly. And the goal should be to create a legacy that reflects what you value. For instance, I have clients who want to set up education funds for their grandchildren. They're focused on making a lasting impact, but they also worry about ensuring their own financial security first.
It's a delicate balance, isn't it? You want to provide for your family, but not at the cost of your own stability.
Yes, and that's why having a solid plan in place is crucial. It's about understanding your priorities and how much you can afford to allocate towards legacy goals without jeopardizing your lifestyle.
And this is where having a good advisor comes into play, right? Someone who can help navigate these complexities and tailor a plan that suits individual needs.
Absolutely, it's all about personalized planning. For some, it might mean adjusting their investment strategies to account for inflation, while for others, it could involve setting up trusts to minimize tax burdens on their heirs.
Those trusts can be such a powerful tool. They can help ensure that the assets go exactly where you want them to, and can also provide some protection from creditors or lawsuits.
Right. And they can help manage how and when beneficiaries receive their inheritance, which can be especially important if you're concerned about younger heirs being financially responsible.
Yeah, that's a smart move. It's like setting them up for success rather than just handing them a lump sum.
Exactly. And I think what's important for listeners to remember is that it's never too early or late to start thinking about these things. Whether you're just starting to plan for retirement or are already retired, there are steps you can take now to ensure your legacy is secure.
Well, it sounds like we're ready to dive into some core strategies that can help with legacy building.
Absolutely. Let's explore those next. So Emily, as we dive into the practical strategies for building a legacy, it's essential to start with the foundation, your investment strategy. You know, a common approach is the 70-30th portfolio, which is 70% stocks and 30% bonds?
Right, and that balance can really depend on your risk tolerance, right? It's like if you're more risk averse, you might lean more towards bonds as you get closer to retirement.
Exactly. Stocks can offer growth potential, but they come with volatility, which can be tough for retirees who need to draw income. On the flip side, bonds are generally more stable, but, they also tend to have lower returns.
So what's a good rule of thumb for someone nearing retirement in terms of asset allocation?
A common guideline is to subtract your age from 100 to determine the percentage of your portfolio that should be in stocks. For example, if you're 60, you might aim for 40% in stocks and 60% in bonds.
That's a neat formula. But what about tax-advantaged accounts, like IRAs and 401ks?
Great point. These accounts can really help maximize your savings. With a traditional IRA or 401k, you're deferring taxes until you withdraw the money. That can be beneficial if you expect to be in a lower tax bracket in retirement.
And then you have the Roth options, right?
Exactly. With a Roth IRA or Roth 401k, you pay taxes on your contributions now, but withdrawals during retirement are tax-free. This can be a huge advantage if you expect your tax rate to be higher later on.
So it really comes down to predicting your future tax situation, doesn't it?
Yep, and that's not easy. But, diversifying your tax strategy by having both types of accounts, traditional and Roth, can offer flexibility.
That makes sense. So how about real estate? I know a lot of people think about that as a part of their retirement plan.
Real estate can be a fantastic asset for building wealth. It can provide rental income, which is a great way to supplement your retirement income. Plus, it has the potential for appreciation over time.
Right. But it also comes with responsibilities, like maintenance and property management.
Absolutely. And liquidity can be a concern too. Unlike stocks, you can't just sell a piece of real estate instantly if you need cash. So it's important to consider how much liquidity you want in your portfolio.
That brings us to withdrawal strategies, which can be a bit daunting. I've heard a lot about the 4% rule. Can you break that down?
Sure. The 4% rule suggests that if you withdraw 4% of your total retirement savings each year, you should be able to sustain your withdrawals for about 30 years without running out of money.
So if you have $1 million saved, you could withdraw $40,000 a year?
Exactly. But, it's important to keep in mind that this is based on historical market performance. Market conditions could change, so it's wise to be flexible.
What are some alternatives to the 4% rule?
One popular approach is the bucket strategy. You essentially divide your investments into different buckets based on when you'll need the money. For example, you might have a short-term bucket for the next few years, a medium-term bucket for 5 to 10 years out, and a long-term bucket for growth.
That's interesting. It feels more tailored to individual needs.
Exactly. and it can help mitigate the risk of market downturns affecting your immediate needs.
So, talking about market conditions, how do you recommend people diversify their investments?
Diversification is key. You want to spread your investments across various asset classes: stocks, bonds, real estate, maybe even some alternatives like commodities or cryptocurrencies. The idea is to reduce risk by not putting all your eggs in one basket.
And with that, you should consider different sectors too, right? Like technology, healthcare, or consumer goods.
Absolutely. Different sectors perform well at different times in the economic cycle, so having exposure to various sectors can help stabilize your portfolio.
What about taxes when it comes to withdrawals? Are there strategies to minimize that?
Yes, there are definitely strategies. For instance, you might withdraw from taxable accounts first, allowing your tax-advantaged accounts to continue growing. Also, consider your tax bracket. If you can manage your withdrawals to stay in a lower bracket, you can save on taxes.
That's really useful. So what's the role of Social Security in all of this?
Social Security can be a vital piece of your retirement income puzzle. The age you choose to start receiving benefits can significantly affect your monthly payments. The longer you wait, up to age 70, the higher your benefit will be.
That can really add up over time. It's like a guaranteed income stream if you can afford to wait.
Exactly. And optimizing when and how you take Social Security is crucial. If you can coordinate that with your withdrawal strategy, you can stretch your savings even further.
So it sounds like it's all about planning and being strategic with your resources.
Definitely. And speaking of planning, one common pitfall is underestimating healthcare costs in retirement.
Oh, absolutely. That's something people often overlook.
Right. You should factor in not just premiums, but out-of-pocket costs, long-term care, and so on. It can really add up, so having a plan for that is essential.
That's a great segue into the next topic. Let's dive deeper into those common pitfalls people face.
So, Emily, when we talk about building a legacy, one of the biggest pitfalls I see is what we call sequence of returns risk.
Right, that's when the timing of withdrawals from retirement accounts can really impact your savings, isn't it?
Exactly. Imagine someone who retires just before a market downturn. If they start withdrawing funds from their investments while they're down, it can significantly affect the longevity of their portfolio.
I can see how that would be stressful. You're relying on those funds, and then suddenly they're shrinking.
Yes, and I had a client, let's call him Tom, who retired in 2007. The market took a dive in 2008, and he was withdrawing from his IRA. His portfolio was hit hard, and he had to adjust his lifestyle drastically just a couple of years into retirement.
That must have been a tough transition for him. So what can someone do to avoid that kind of situation?
Well, having a diversified withdrawal strategy is key. It might mean having a mix of cash reserves, bonds, and equities to draw from, so you're not forced to sell stocks in a down market.
That makes a lot of sense. Planning for those downturns can really save people from a lot of stress. What about taxes? I know that's another area where people tend to overlook the impact.
Absolutely. Many retirees don't consider how taxes will affect their withdrawals. If you're pulling from a traditional IRA, for instance, those withdrawals are taxable income.
Right. So if someone is just taking the minimum they need without thinking about taxes, they could end up in a higher tax bracket than they expected.
Yes, and I worked with a couple, we'll call them Sarah and John, who didn't plan for taxes on their retirement income. When they started taking distributions, they were shocked to find out that it pushed them into a higher tax bracket, leading to a larger tax bill than they'd anticipated.
Oof, that's a tough lesson to learn. So how can someone manage their withdrawals to minimize taxes?
It's really about strategy. You can consider withdrawing from different accounts in a way that minimizes your overall tax impact. Maybe withdrawing from taxable accounts first, or even converting some traditional IRA funds to a Roth IRA over time.
That sounds like a smart approach. Another common pitfall I hear about is underestimating healthcare costs and longevity. It seems like planning for that can be really tricky.
Oh, it definitely can be. Many folks don't fully grasp how much healthcare costs can escalate as they age. I've seen retirees who planned for a certain amount, only to find themselves facing higher medical expenses later on.
And with life expectancy increasing, it's not just about having enough for the first 10 years of retirement anymore, is it?
Right, it's crucial to plan for potentially 20 or more years. I remember a client named Lisa who thought she'd be fine with her savings, but when healthcare costs started piling up, it became clear she hadn't accounted for that well enough.
What kind of steps can someone take to better prepare for healthcare costs?
Well, first, have a realistic conversation with your financial advisor about what those costs might look like. Also, look into long-term care insurance or health savings accounts. They can be a great way to prepare for those potential expenses.
That's really helpful advice. Now, let's talk about asset allocation. I've heard that people sometimes get that wrong too.
Yes, poor asset allocation can lead to big issues down the road. Many retirees become too conservative too quickly, moving everything into bonds or cash, which can limit growth potential and impact their ability to maintain their lifestyle.
I can see how that would happen. They might feel like they should be extra cautious, but then they miss out on growth opportunities.
Exactly. I had a client named Jim who, after retiring, moved all his investments to cash out of fear. He thought he was being safe, but inflation eroded his purchasing power, and he found himself struggling financially just a few years in.
So what's the right balance? How can someone ensure they have a diversified portfolio that still grows?
It's all about understanding your risk tolerance and time horizon. A mix of stocks, bonds, and other assets tailored to your needs can help. Regularly reviewing and adjusting your portfolio based on market conditions is also essential.
That makes sense. Now, what about claiming Social Security? I know that can be a big decision for many retirees.
Yes, claiming too early is a common mistake. If someone claims at 62 rather than waiting until full retirement age, they could miss out on a significant amount of money over the years.
That's a huge trade-off.
It really is. I had a client, let's call her Nancy, who claimed early because she was eager to start enjoying her retirement. Unfortunately, she didn't realize how much that reduced her monthly benefit, impacting her long-term financial security.
So how can someone determine the best time for them to claim?
It's crucial to consider your overall financial situation, health, and life expectancy. Tools and calculators can help you assess the best strategy, and talking with a financial planner can provide personalized insights.
Definitely, it sounds like there are a lot of factors to weigh in that decision. As we wrap this up, what would you say are the key red flags to watch for in retirement planning?
Well, if you notice that you're not regularly reviewing your financial plan, or if you're feeling overwhelmed by your investment choices, those are signs to reach out for help. Also, if you're unsure about your withdrawal strategy, or have a lack of clarity regarding taxes, it's time for a reassessment.
Those are excellent points, and taking proactive steps can really help steer clear of those pitfalls.
Exactly. It's all about being informed and prepared, and making adjustments as life changes, so you can build a lasting legacy for your family.
Thanks, David. This has been such a valuable conversation. I think it's really important for our listeners to feel empowered as they approach this stage in their lives.
So as we think about building a legacy for your family, it's important to focus on some immediate, actionable steps you can take right now.
Absolutely. Let's dive into some tools and resources that can really help with that.
Yeah, one of the first things I'd recommend is checking out some retirement calculators. Vanguard, Fidelity, and Schwab all have great tools on their websites. These can give you a good estimate of how much you'll need to save for a comfortable retirement.
Right. Those calculators can help you model different scenarios, like when you plan to retire or how your expenses might change. It's a nice way to visualize your goals, isn't it?
Exactly. And don't forget about the Social Security Administration website, ssa.gov. It's a treasure trove of information. You can create an account there to check your earnings history and get estimates of your future benefits.
That's a great point. Knowing what you can expect from Social Security is crucial in planning your overall strategy. And, I think it's also helpful to run retirement projections regularly.
Yes, I suggest doing that at least once a year, but quarterly reviews can be even better. It keeps you on track and allows you to make adjustments when necessary.
Right. And speaking of adjustments, there are plenty of financial planning apps out there, like Personal Capital or Mint, that can help you keep an eye on your budget and investments.
Those apps can be really user-friendly. They allow you to see all your accounts in one place, which can make managing your finances so much easier.
And for those who prefer a more traditional approach, you might want to look into tax software like TurboTax or H&R Block. They can help you navigate the tax implications of your retirement accounts.
Definitely. Taxes can be tricky, especially when you start withdrawing from those accounts. It's important to understand how it all works.
And let's not forget about continuous learning. There are some fantastic books and podcasts out there focused on retirement planning. What are some of your favorites, David?
Well, The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey is a classic. It really emphasizes the importance of budgeting and living within your means. For podcasts, I enjoy The Retirement Answer Man by Roger Whitney. He breaks down complex topics into digestible pieces.
Those are great recommendations. I also think your money blueprint is worth a listen. It covers not just finances, but also the mindset you need for retirement planning.
Absolutely. And speaking of mindset, developing good habits is key. Start small. Maybe set a reminder to review your portfolio quarterly or establish a routine for running your retirement projections.
Yes, consistency is so important. Even if you just carve out a little time each month to look at your finances, it can make a big difference over time.
Right. And it's never too late to improve your plan. Whether you're just starting out or you're closer to retirement, there's always room for adjustment and growth.
Exactly. And, it's important to have conversations with your family about your financial plans as well. You want to make sure everyone is on the same page.
Definitely. Open communication can prevent a lot of misunderstandings down the road. Plus, it can help your loved ones understand the legacy you're trying to build.
And don't forget to consider your estate planning documents. Things like wills, trusts, and powers of attorney are critical parts of your legacy.
Yes, having those documents in place ensures that your wishes are honored and can save your family a lot of stress during challenging times.
So true. And for those who aren't sure where to start, working with a financial advisor can be a great option. They can provide personalized guidance based on your specific situation.
I couldn't agree more. A good advisor can help you navigate the complexities of retirement planning, especially when it comes to legacy building.
With all these tools and strategies at your disposal, you really can take control of your retirement journey.
So those are some practical first steps. Now let's bring this all together. Well, Emily, as we wrap up, let's quickly recap some key takeaways from our discussion about building a legacy for your family.
Absolutely, David. One of the biggest points we touched on is the importance of having a clear vision for what you want your legacy to be, right? It's about understanding your values and how you want to reflect those in your financial decisions.
Exactly. And then we talked about the significance of creating a comprehensive estate plan. It's not just about the money, but also about making sure your wishes are known and respected.
And don't forget the power of communication. Having those honest conversations with your family can really help in aligning everyone's expectations and values.
Right, and we also highlighted the role of charitable giving. It's a wonderful way to make a lasting impact beyond your immediate family, and it can bring a sense of fulfillment.
Definitely. It's about building something that lasts, something that can benefit others in the long run.
Well said, Emily. And remember, building and protecting your retirement wealth isn't just about accumulating assets. It's about creating a future where you can enjoy your life and leave a meaningful legacy for those you care about.
Exactly. So if you found value in today's episode, we'd love for you to like, subscribe, and maybe even drop a comment with your biggest takeaway or a question you might have. And hey, if you know someone who's planning for retirement or already in it, share this episode with them.
Yes, please do. We're all about fostering a community here where folks can learn and grow together.
And next time, we'll dive into retirement planning in your 60s explained. So if you're in that age group or know someone who is, you won't want to miss it.
That's right. It's going to be a great discussion.
Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate your time.
Take care, everyone. And until next time, keep planning for that brighter future.